Hey everyone, welcome to the Kaufman Foundation, Charles E. Kaufman Foundation webinar information session. My name is Michael Jonas. I know a few more people are coming in the room, and thanks also for your patience as we were getting started and getting set up. Um, we're going to go through this presentation. Here is my contact information. We'll also be sharing information on how to contact any of us on the team towards the end of the presentation, and what you're seeing today will also be available on the Kaufman website, so you can get this information in multiple forms and fashions as well. Just a little bit of housekeeping. Auto captioning is being provided for the event. If you'd like to enable that, you can use the closed caption button at the bottom of the desktop app or the settings section on your mobile devices if you're hopefully not driving, but if you're on your mobile device. Questions will be accepted via the chat session. Brittany Elman, who will raise her hand, is going to be monitoring that, so we can make sure to cover those at the end of the session as well. You'll be muted for the presentation, which we hope to get to pretty quickly, about 20, 25 minutes at the most. And then we'll open it up and we'll be able to see a gallery and we'll be able to answer lots of questions and we'll be able to hear from you and you can raise your hands and things like that. If you have any technical difficulties during the session, please message Taryn Lumley directly in the chat. She is the keeper of all things tech and does a great job and will help take care of you and us should anything come up. If you have any questions that are also maybe time sensitive to the presentation or something, put that in the chat. Brittany will be monitoring and she can sort of uplift it during the discussion as well. And it's great to be with you. Thanks for sharing your lunchtime with us, and please eat your lunch, be comfortable, and we'll get started. Wanted to share with you, Mr. Kaufman started the Kaufman Foundation here as a supporting org of the Pittsburgh Foundation in 2010. He's a chemical engineer who's loved being outdoors, active member of the Western Pennsylvania Conservancy, and has a fund that also supports that work. And he dreamt of being able to support and provide innovative funding to help faculty like yourselves pursue fundamental science research in the areas of chemistry, biology, and physics, and to provide seed funding, flexible support in ways that would allow for novel research for the next Nobel laureate, for huge impact and great work going on in the field. It is restricted only to faculty in the state of Pennsylvania, and it's modeled off of the Welch Foundation in Texas, WELCH, if you'd like to kind of see what they do. They're a much larger foundation, have much different asset structure than we do for Kaufman. Mr. Kaufman was quiet. He lived very modestly, and he really felt that we can accomplish much more through others than just ever, he could by himself, and really wanted to see his legacy move forward. Mr. Kaufman's wishes as a donor of the foundation is what guides all of our work. Lots of the ideas that we get are really great ideas, but if they're not aligned specifically with the fundamental science research nature or with the donor intent, we simply cannot fund that as well. So I'll be talking more about the structure next, but I wanted to introduce you to Mr. Kaufman. We're all working on getting some more pictures of him too. That's Mr. Kaufman. The foundation's mission is to support, again, fundamental research in chemistry, biology, and physics at Pennsylvania higher education institutions only. And it distributes grants in three key areas, which many of you have probably already seen through the website. One is the New Investigator Award Grants Program. The second is New Initiative Research Program. Then later, probably in 2015, the program Kaufman started the Integrated Research and Education Grants Program, the IREG program, which is designed to help support similar type of work within institutions that have a particularly high focus on undergraduate education and science and technology support. Our team here at the foundation that works and manages work is, it's exciting to introduce you to our scientific consultant from the University of Pittsburgh, Monty Montgomery, who is just joined our team this year. He'll be on the screen in a minute, as well as Bree, who's now back. Welcome back, Bree. Brittany Altman here, if you could raise your hand. Brittany is our program assistant at the foundation, who has probably been in touch with you. You've seen her email and a lot of communication about the grants management and communications and technology support for applications as well. Bree Casaus is our assessment and learning associate, who is supporting a lot of the external engagement that we've been doing over the last couple of years, strengthening the kind of science and data that we bring to monitoring the Kaufman program for outcomes and outputs, but then also developing a newsletter, which hopefully many of you have already seen, called Kaufman Corner, and then also helping us plan for a fall symposium for Kaufman as well. So lots more external engagement to deepen our engagement to make it not so transactional. And then I manage the program as the director of the Kaufman Foundation. I'm the director of the board, as well as vice president for community partnerships and learning at the foundation, and really excited to be working for you in this space. Hi, Monty. We just introduced you. Said hi. Graham Hatfull is our chair of the Scientific Advisory Board, which you can find on the website for Kaufman as well. The link here is next. Graham has been involved with supporting and guiding the Kaufman Foundation's work since its inception. He's been incredibly helpful and supportive and a great shepherd of Mr. Kaufman's goals and mission. The Kaufman Foundation, as a supporting org of the Pittsburgh Foundation, does have its own board of directors, but ultimately the governance responsibility does fall to the Pittsburgh Foundation and our board as well for ratifying foundation procedures as well. And then the leadership of the board of directors of the foundation, as I just mentioned. So lots of layers there, but we're really accessible. Kaufman Apps is the way to find us. Kaufman Apps at pittsburghfoundation.org, and we'll share that information soon. And we're super responsive. So I wanted to quickly go over the guidelines for the two primary programs of funding for the Pittsburgh Foundation. The first is the New Investigator Award, and the second is the New Initiative. Also wanted to let you know that if you do Google and go to the Kaufman website, we do update every year the previous year's slate of grants that have been funded. That's a great place. We got some good questions beforehand around, like, do you have examples of programs that have been funded or others? That's a great place to look to see the types of projects that have been successful. Again, every cohort that comes in is sort of measured against itself for the core requirements of Kaufman, but then also against each other, right? Like any other kind of rigorous review process, depends on who applies during the cohort and in which areas. The scientific rigor and proposal are paramount in this process. Those are the highest criteria, as well as aligning with fundamental science research or interdisciplinary research, biochemistry and others, things like that too. But fundamental science nature of the work and distinguishing it from applied science is important. But that's kind of an interesting space in today's world. So I have to make a click here. The new investigator grants provide support for innovative scientists in Pennsylvania as they transition their academic positions. Sorry, my pictures of you guys are right in the middle of the screen. How do I move that? Transition into academic positions into new and independent investigator areas. This would be considered in the NIH side as an R of 3 type grant, R21 type grant, more exploratory work, early investigator establishing. Proposals must examine fundamental science in the key areas or disciplinary boundaries between those fields, which is a category you can apply within and highlight. Applied or clinical studies are not supported. And this is we generally apply support up to 6 awards with a maximum of 150,000 over the 2 years, split between 75 and a year. Sometimes that number might change from 6 to 4, depending on level of rigor of the science that was supported. We can support some grants versus others, depending on the pool that came in that year. The eligibility criteria are really very similar for the two main programs. You have to have a primary appointment at an institution of higher education in Pennsylvania. Applicants must be U.S. citizens or lawful permanent residents. Investigators must have one of the following, and we have in the last 2 years changed this just a bit to be also a little bit more reflective of who is applying, but also NIH criteria: full-time tenure stream, tenure track appointment, or an independent research faculty appointment. So this recognizes that there are many investigators in the field that may not be on the tenure stream, but do have independent labs doing work on their own. So this wouldn't be a postdoc or a junior faculty member that's working within a senior person's lab. This is really building a body of evidence and work of your own in that space as well. Any questions or concerns whether or not you fit within these, let us know, and we're happy to help brainstorm that with you too. Applicants must not have competed successfully as a PI to receive substantial independent funding at NIH. Applicants have not yet competed and achieved an R01 independent investigator award of that level to be eligible here. And we did change the timing, but the requirement is that you must have obtained your terminal research degree or clinical degree in the last 10 years. It used to be 7 years. So I've extended that a little bit further as well. And the reason for that is for the new investigator award is the reason we don't necessarily look at R01 level recipients is because you've already achieved that level of support at an external funding source. And this is trying to allow you the ability to develop preliminary data to be competitive at that level. We are extremely aware of the federal guidelines and cuts in funding and lack of NOFOs in the field. So we're thinking through ways that we can be most flexible and supportive in that case as well. For the new initiative grants, the goal is to stimulate established investigators towards innovative collaborations. So these investigators may be at different institutions in Pennsylvania or at the same institution in Pennsylvania, provided that they bring different approaches and are combined to address a new research initiative area. So one of our favorite examples is, a physicist working with a textile scientist in a way that they have met, they've learned about each other's work, and just wanted to really have an opportunity to seed that partnership moving forward. It is possible that investigators have, maybe published together a little bit, have worked together in different ways, but if there's an established relationship there and or previous funding for that partnership, unless it's very clear that this is a new initiative area of research, probably won't be competitive under this program. But we also encourage people to apply and let the scientific advisory board review those proposals. Same requirements in terms of focus on fundamental science and research. And in this case, we generally look to provide up to 4 awards, maximizing $300,000 a year over 2 years. Wanted to let you know that it is not uncommon that people ask for no-cost extensions. And so we have also kept the funding levels the same for all these years, and we're constantly looking at opportunities. Do we change the amounts or change the structure? We work with the board and the scientific advisory board to inform those processes, but these are the guidelines for the coming year. Eligibility criteria here are relatively the same. There must be at least 2 investigators identified on a research project. All principal and co-investigators must hold primary appointments in Pennsylvania and our schools of higher education in Pennsylvania. One faculty member must be assigned or designated as the principal investigator, right? So that there's institutional accountability there, and the lead institution. Other investigators should be identified as co-investigators. There are some examples where consultants out of state have been used, but those are really important to note on a case-by-case basis. Again, the citizenship requirements are the same. The investigator status institutionally also the same as for the new investigator. Must reflect expertise in one of these core fundamental science research areas or integrated subspecialties. And the proposal research must be a new initiative, not currently funded from other sources, not an incremental step of an R21 or even an R01 that's there that you're just kind of looking to do the next piece. They're really looking for novel, new, I want to say not higher risk, but a new chartered path to kind of explore that work. And it's really helpful to go back and look at the new initiative awards that have been provided the last few years to kind of see what kind of projects have been proposed. Brittany, any questions to date on the chat so far that you stop for? Nope. Okay. So the goal here is to fund rigorous fundamental research by investigators who also prioritize for the IREG program itself, also have a priority towards undergraduate training and engagement. IREG programs is an invitation-only program, though in the last 2 years, we've pretty much been sending it out to everyone who are at sort of tier 2 level institutions across the state. If you have questions, we definitely, not deprioritize, but if you have an active IREG grant, the committee will know that as we think about institutional parity. But the priority here is to support grants that have rigorous science and also really meaningfully engage undergraduate training at their institution. That does not necessarily mean that it's 50 undergraduates or 5 undergraduates in a really deep way. It could be ways that you help us understand what meaningful engagement looks like at your institution. Some people have changed curriculum in their programs to integrate undergraduate education. Some investigators have just had a really intense mentoring engagement with 5 of their undergraduate colleagues and have really helped launch their careers. Brittany, do we have one? Nope. Okay. Proposals are less rigorous than in the scientific area than the other 2 programs. But they are required to examine fundamental science research in these biology, physics, or the interdisciplinary areas. Again, not less rigorous in the science, but obviously we recognize that the institutional capacity and ability and maybe tools or machines or others you have available, might not be at the same level of, a tier one or research one institution. We generally fund up to 2 awards at the maximum of $100,000 over 2 years with $50,000 a year. There are no indirect costs provided for the IREG program, and that's because it's in lieu of providing summer salary support for the postdocs or other trainees that are involved in the program, whereas there is a 10% indirect provided for the new investigator and new initiative grants. The criteria here is that only institutions that have been invited can apply. Investigators must have a primary appointment, again, the same as before. They must be a citizen, and faculty will have tenure, be the non-tenure or independent research faculty, so same as the other programs. And the preference will be given to investigators who present evidence of authentic research experiences for undergraduate students in their institution. That's obviously a qualitative term, so we really love to hear not only how investigators have done that work in the past, or do you have an opportunity to do something new and bold that you couldn't do before, and IREG would allow that to then shape future work, capacity building for students to move into these fields, and or institutional capacity for proof of concept for doing more direct engagement. Investigators who have been previously awarded through IREG or who have received Kaufman funding previously are not eligible. There is some flexibility in some of the space because of where funding has come from and or the type of projects. So happy to talk to you on a case-by-case basis on that as well. We wanted to share a little bit of background in terms of Kaufman by the numbers. Brittany, over this past year, launched and conducted a really helpful and really quick and helpful insight survey to our previous grantees from 2016 to 2020, and really all programs across those who were funded from 2016 to 2020. 38 former awardees responded, were asked to complete the survey. Each awardee submitted a final report as part of their eligibility criteria, and they received grants from the programs as recited here, and only 5 were excluded from that. From those 38, we had 23, a 61% response rate, a really high level number of what investigators said that they used the Kaufman grant to help leverage over those years was almost $63 million associated with that direct research support that they got. There's an asterisk against these conferences presented is because Brittany kind of lost track of that. I mean, there was just too many to capture. And a lot of investigators said, well, it kind of depends, but at least 20 or 30 or others. And they provided lots of lists of those. So, dozens and dozens of presentations that have come from the Kaufman supported work and lots of publications at various levels. The low estimate here, again, is because the respondent said it's just too many to count and because of the networks that they were working within as well. So much like a survey we did from 2013 to 2017 or 2018, the productivity level of the Kaufman grantees has been at a really high level, a competitive level, and a model that we think that Mr. Kaufman would be really proud of and excited by. To share by discipline, this is amount of money, or by discipline, some areas we got responses you can see for, it's kind of small over here, but interdisciplinary is purple, light blue turquoise is physics, chemistry is red, and biology is blue. You can see the numbers of respondents we had by area with a disproportionate number in both physics and biology, which is great. The amount of money of dollars leverage reported, we saw the highest number in the biology field, followed by physics, and then interdisciplinary areas, and then chemistry. And then we see, as you look at the number of publications, a really disproportionately high number in the area of physics, followed by biology, and then interdisciplinary and chemistry. Again, this is based on the numbers that we have that we got and self-reported data. And we also know that the publication style and process are different by different areas and fields. So just some understanding of what the productivity level of our previous awardees. By program area, these are the dollars leveraged by program. Not sure the slide. I'm going to move to the next one. And then an award from the Charles Kaufman Foundation. The themes that came from the qualitative data we learned were really clear in that the Kaufman Foundation program provided a precursor toward major federal awards. An NSF or Career Award was achieved by 5 individuals, NSF grant from 8, R01s from 9, R35 to 5, and then DoD MURI awards reported from 4 of the previous awardees. They felt that it served as a career launching catalyst for their early career activities and allowed for more risk taking and flexibility for other federal sources to develop preliminary data, but it also provided, we know just from talking to other investigators, a space within their institution to cultivate and grow this work as well, and also a community of people to work with. It impacted the training of a next generation of scientists. We've gotten some really great stories and data-informed information from our IREG program that have just said, hey, we had these students, they were able to be supported. 100% went on to go to grad school of the people they were engaged with in the area that they had done their training and supported with that faculty member. So moving from undergraduate to graduate to doctoral students and then independent faculty in the area. And we love that idea of cultivating the community. It also helps not only generate preliminary data, but the researchers' confidence, and they said their ability to move forward and take risk within their field and a validation of the work that they were doing too. So we're really excited about that. Bree has done some research which has been really helpful to help you all understand sort of the trajectory of how many people apply with an LOI and what their trajectory is towards a full proposal. You can see the data here at the top that shows you that from 2019 to 2023, there were 675 LOIs. About 131 of those were converted to full proposals and 40 to full grants were then awarded. And we see very similar trends as they move forward. We've got some different ways to look at this information with a little bit of difference by new investigator or new initiative, but fairly consistent. When we think about the conversion rates by discipline, you can see that the conversion rate for chemistry is higher when it comes to new initiative, and physics is much higher in the new investigator space. And these trends also remain the same in general year after year as they move forward as well. So this gives you a sense of conversion by area. Some of that has to do with by numbers of proposals that are put in, but obviously is driven ultimately by the rigor of the science that's being proposed. Wanted to direct you to the frequently asked questions page. Bree and Brittany worked really hard on this last year, and we continue to update it with questions that we get from you. But there's a lot of information there about eligibility, allowing of budget expenses, what to do with publications, how to characterize them, and how do you cite the Kaufman Foundation. Institutional direct costs, I really wish we had flexibility there. We do not. So just to let you know, with the ways to inform letters of support is a really important area to focus on, and that these are really highly prioritized in the review process. So, if your chair submits a letter of support, everyone knows, including the SAB, it has to be good. What they're really interested also are complimentary letters of support of maybe colleagues in the field that know your work, have seen you grow, and kind of speak to your ability as an investigator, as someone who is curious and rigorous in their work, and can really speak to sort of the level of optimism they have on the work you're doing as well, but may not be, affiliated with your department. And lots of other questions there. If there's something you don't see in the FAQ page, just email Kaufman Apps and we're happy to get on it. And we'll also share it with the group and put it in the FAQs so other people can benefit from that as well. Our team here just wanted to, when I can ask them to raise their hand, and during the questions, we'll be able to say hi. This is our contact information. You are welcome to reach out to us directly, but the best way to connect with us is through the Kaufman Apps at pittsburghfoundation.org, which is triage. We all see that, and then we can move amongst our team to help manage the process as well. Hope that this provided a helpful overview for you for the program. And I'd open it up to my colleagues first to see if I missed anything critical that you think that I missed that we should share. And then also we can open up to broad questions as well. And most of all, I just want to thank you all for being here today. How many people are on the call? Great, 46. So really excited that you're interested in the program, and Mr. Kaufman would be too. Brittany, Bree, or Monty, anything you'd like to add before we open up to the large group?
I just want to highlight that this issue that went out on Tuesday of the Kaufman Corner newsletter was very specific to the LOIs, included tips from our SAB members. So if you did not receive that, if you would drop your name and email in the chat, and I can make sure you get connected.
That's the it was really great. Bree sent a note out to our SAB members and say, if you could give one bit of big advice you would say, to send out for your LOI, for your materials and others. And the SAB responded back just like within the day. And there are a lot of reoccurring themes. I'll tell you, if you're going to apply to Kaufman and you get to the full proposal phase, I don't know if LOIs include images, Brittany. I don't think we see that very much. But if you do include an image, you want to make sure that the text complements the image and the image just doesn't float out there. Um, that's bad, right? If we have to, look through, the SAB has to kind of fill in the blanks. Also, really good to know that the SAB is an interdisciplinary SAB. While they all are incredibly strong scientists, you are speaking to a crowd that should be aware of what you're reading, even if they're not familiar, if they're scientifically oriented, but not familiar with your field. So avoiding acronyms is important. Even when I review them as well, if we have to go to look at Google 10 times to look up acronyms, that's always difficult too. Just think about a broader audience. And these guidelines are all specified in the requirements to apply. Brittany, any questions? Or Taryn, can we open it up just to the gallery people?
I do want to share
Please.
that exemptions to the eligibility criteria for the 10-year window, if you're applying as a new investigator, are considered, not universally granted, but if you believe that there are extenuating circumstances that have influenced the time, between now and your terminal degree, we would be more than willing to hear those circumstances. You would want to email Michael directly, and you can put his email in the chat. It's also widely available on the slide deck.
Yeah. You're also, if it's something that's complicated to put in an email, my cell phone and office phone are there too. You can call me. We can chat about that. Brittany is referring to not tenure in terms of tenure status, but time, that 10 years since. Just for example, COVID threw everything into the Bermuda Triangle of academic productivity. So there were a lot of exceptions sort of during those timeframes because of, people not able to be in the lab or be able to do their work or family circumstances or others. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us if there are those circumstances that you're seeking as well. And we look forward to working with you on that. Thanks, Brittany, for bringing that up. I was pretty close on time. That was pretty good, 25 minutes. I practiced for you all. Do you want to open up, Taryn, to the gallery?
Give me one moment. I will update the settings.
Thank you. Monty, anything to add? Monty's so new. It's great to have a fresh set of eyes on the program. So we're always in a learning space as we transition to the next step here. You all are the experts in the work you do, in the way that you perform. We consider ourselves pretty nimble. We're not NIH. We're not one of the federal institutions. So if you have recommendations for us or thoughts, we always consider them. We always share them with the board of directors, and are always interested in making sure that we're as responsive. We think about grant amount. We think about grant timeline, ways to make us more responsive and effective. We're in touch with the Welch Foundation on a regular basis to help think about new strategies based on Mr. Kaufman's goals and wishes for modeling what Welch does so effectively, and beyond just their dollar amount, but how do we, be most impactful. So really interested in learning with you and from you as well. Oh, I think people are coming in. How do I open? Let's see. I'm going to stop sharing. I just see Brittany, Bree, and Monty. Do you all see anyone else? Okay. How do I change my view?
Michael, while you're looking at changing your view, there's a question about asking if we could speak about the review process.
Mm-hmm. So why is everyone listed on the top and not in part? I just see Monty really big. We'll see. Hopefully it'll pop up there you go. I think it's moving around. So the review process, application, LOI materials are submitted. We organize those with Monty's help by discipline area to the scientific advisory board. The first review, primary review, is someone of like discipline. So if it's a physics proposal, it's one of the two experts in our panel with physics background. And then recommendations are made. There's also a broad discussion. Everyone's expected to review at least 2 to 3 of the LOIs. Then the committee comes together to do an LOI review, and there's a lot of discussion and consensus building, much like NIH, and then decides which ones to invite for a full proposal. Although NIH is a full proposal to start, but there's a consensus building space there. When the full proposals are requested, we don't provide comments or edits unless there's something that is really specific to the LOI that came up. But if the full proposal is invited, when those come in, it's triaged in very much the same way to the scientific advisory board. But there's a primary reviewer of the same discipline, secondary and tertiary, that all comment in the meeting. But all of the 6 members of the SAB are required to review all of the proposals. And so there's a great deal of discussion, and there's an iterative process around alignment with the Kaufman Foundation guidelines and discussion around competition by area, thinking about parity for institution potentially, or other areas of parity, but it's really about the scientific rigor and alignment with the Kaufman program in that way. So you can see who the scientific advisory board members are from the website. And it's an iterative and thoughtful, careful process that's really grounded in Mr. Kaufman's priorities. It's actually pretty awesome. It takes like 6 hours, maybe up to 7. I don't know a lot disciplinary. I do have an academic background. I was a faculty member for many years, but not in this area. And I think for all of our team here, it is just amazing to listen to the kind of questions and rigor around scientific design from someone who might not be an expert in that area, but then people providing insights into the biochemistry nature of the questions that are being asked from a real content expertise. So there's a lot of learning from the whole team. And why can't I see everyone? Thanks, Brittany. Other questions that came up? Nope. So I see 44 people, or 43 participants are still here, but I only see 6 of you. I don't know why that more. Let's see, view. But if you have a question, you could raise your hand, and would love to hear from you. And no questions are bad questions, so ask away.
Michael, we have a question in the chat asking if a professor of practice that only has a master's degree be eligible as a new investigator.
Yeah, so all it says is terminal degree in the guidelines. It doesn't say PhD necessarily. I can't say that I can think that we've had a master's degree applicant, but I would say that for as long as the other criteria are met, I think we'd welcome that application to see, recognizing the competition within that field too. But please try. I swear I'm in gallery view, Taryn. I promise. Speaker, multi-speaker. Anyway, let's keep going. Any other questions? Assistant who is unsupervised. So a assistant research professor who is supervised by a more senior professor, I would say that that falls into that third category, and around being an independent researcher. It would be up to you, and I'm sorry, I can't see your name at this point, but it would be up to you to be able to characterize in your LOI the independent nature of the work that you're doing and growing in the field as a scientist itself. So I would say that would be for you, Dr. Biotti, just framing that in the LOI, and maybe some statement in terms of your trajectory would be most helpful. It's more about the independent investigator side to show that versus doing the work of another investigator and sort of that piece as well. Dr. Fisher, if you could ask, you just unmute yourself, I think.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure.
So first of all, thank you for supporting science and education in Pennsylvania. It's an awesome program. I just wanted,
Thank Mr. Kaufman.
yeah,
We are
thank you.
privileged to be his facilitators. It is an honor and a privilege that we take very seriously. It's remarkable to have it. So, but yeah, thanks.
Yeah. So my question is that I have an appointment in Pennsylvania, and the project that I'm thinking about, the data analysis and the laboratory work would be in Pennsylvania, but the field samples would be collected outside of the country in glacially fed lakes in Canada. And I was just wondering if that would be acceptable. All
Totally.
right.
Yeah. I mean, it's locally here. We've had some really interesting studies of feeding behaviors and global warming impacts on the microbiome of penguins,
Okay.
and we don't have many of those in Pennsylvania. So it really depends on where the work is happening. So, but really keeping those resources and cultivating the capacity within the state of Pennsylvania,
Thank you.
that would be fine. Um, Elizabeth is mentoring me. Thank you. Show. There you are. Okay, there's everyone. Awesome. Thank you. Thanks, Elizabeth. Other questions for us? We are really interested as a team to know if there's anything that we did not cover that you were hoping to get from this session. You can let us know offline, or I'm sure someone else in the group has a question of the similar nature as well. We got a good question prior to the meeting, which was, how does someone at a LaSalle or Muhlenberg or other institution that's doing great work compete for sort of the New Investigator, New Initiative awards that seem to generally go to Research One institutions, Penn State, Pitt, Carnegie Mellon, and Temple, I guess, are kind of where they generally fall in our region. That's a tough one, right? I mean, so the reason IREG was created is we wanted to make sure to cultivate and support work that's going on in undergraduate focused institutions while also providing this new flexible level of support. But there's no requirement against it. And we do actually have a couple of people who've applied to the New Investigator that seemed really much better situated for a future grant that were not supported, but recommended to apply to IREG. And a couple that went the other way too, that we thought they might be good new investigators. So you can't apply to two programs a cycle. You can only apply to one. So if you do have questions or would like to talk more about which one you feel is most appropriate, we're happy to brainstorm with you as well. Brittany, any other questions come up that I might have missed? If not, 12:42, going once, going twice questions. Make sure to all eat lunch today and stay warm. I would also say we work for you. We work for Mr. Kaufman, and we're privileged to be in this space. So if you have questions as you're working through this, if your chair has a question or you're interested in applying or you're thinking about with colleagues, just send us a note and let us know, and we're happy to learn with you. Otherwise, be safe and support each other.